Hi everyone, Jedediah Thomas, the Mind Master here. So I wanted to actually start doing something a little different. So I have the channel, I have a lot of mind theory, I have some testimonials, I have, different things, interviews with clients, and it's all kind of very sterile, maybe. It just kind of seems very intellectual, kind of stodgy, and that's kind of not who I am in general. So what I want to do is kind of do something a little more informal. So I'm creating this whole playlist here, under the sea, for basically just my thoughts about life, stories about my life, stories of working with clients, just different things that doesn't really have a place anywhere else, but doing it in a way that kind of allows more of my natural personality to shine, because I have quite a big personality. You probably wouldn't notice it from the rest of the videos, just because it is just so intellectual. It's very science heavy, very theory heavy, and it doesn't really allow me to be myself. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of add to the channel, by doing these under the sea videos. So the story that's kind of been on my mind for the last few days actually relates to beliefs, right? And how they color the world around us. They change our perceptions of things. They change our behavior. They change pretty much everything about how we operate in the world. And basically, it's actually kind of two stories. So I'll kind of like put one story inside of the other, so you kind of understand what I mean. But basically, I went to high school in Alaska, and it was specifically Kodiak, Alaska. And if you've ever heard of the Kodiak grizzly bear, supposedly there's this bear there that's, the biggest grizzly bear of all grizzly bears, and it exclusively lives in Kodiak, right? And I was there for about 4.5 years. And so basically, they're like everywhere there you hear about the bears, like, oh, someone got their house broken into by a bear, oh, there's bears here, there's bears there. And then you go to the hotel or wherever, and there's like the stuffed grizzly bear, in the glass case or whatever. And so it's like, um I went in there expecting that there would be a bear at every turn, right? And after nearly 4 years of living there, I had not once seen a bear, right? And so at a certain point, I kind of got in my mind that there was no such thing as a Kodiak grizzly bear, right? Like it didn't exist. So I actually had believed it was um like a hoax, right? So like Bigfoot, right? Like people make all these Bigfoot videos, people make all of these, prints out in the sand and whatnot, and in the mud, and and they put on like a bear suit, and then they act like a bear and all this stuff. And so like I had like truly believed that there was no such thing as a Kodiak grizzly bear. Now, part of the reason for this is like I was in a lot of situations where I should have seen a bear and I didn't, right? So one of those situations, this is kind of like the story within the story. I was on, uh, I want to say it was a mission trip to one of the villages. It was either that or a supply run. I can't recall exactly why we were on this specific trip. But we were going out to one of the villages. So Kodiak is on like the east or northeast, southeast side of Kodiak Island, which is like, I don't know, 50 miles wide or something. And we were going to Larson Bay, which is a few hours away, right, by boat. And we had left early enough in the day where we should have gotten there, I don't know, 6 or 7 p.m. It should have been fine. But the water was like really, really choppy. And I think we were in the Gabriel. So it was like, it was no, we were in a front loader. So it was one of the families at the school that I was in, we had their boat. So it was like a front loading boat, right? And so it was not really aqua dynamic like a lot of other boats were. And so because of the chop, so you have like this flat front boat and you have this chop, and we could not get up on step, right? And so on step means like when you're actually kind of sailing over the waves, and it's a really fast trip. So what we were doing is just slogging, like hitting a wall, boom, 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 right? And so we weren't able to actually get that speed of actually getting to the village. And so what ended up happening is we just like it turned like a 3 or 4 hour trip into like an 8 hour trip, right? And it was like already like 3 in the morning, or it was like super late at night, and we couldn't see anything, right? The GPS was just crap. Like this was like 10 years ago or whatever, more than 10 years ago. And so it was telling us we were on land, which is not accurate, right? We were on a boat. So that was useless. So we had guys like on the front of the boat looking out for logs so we wouldn't hit anything. We were all safe, right? But we just had we were out of contact for so long that we actually had the Coast Guard called on us. So they were out looking for us too, because they thought, we had crashed somewhere. But no, we were just plugging along slowly to get to the village. And so when we get there, it's like, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, totally dark, and it's a ways from wherever we landed. I don't know if it was the dock or if it was a ways away from the village. And so what we were trying to do was walk from where we left our boat to the village, right? And it was dark and there was no lights, and it's the wilderness and whatnot. And then so someone was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a bear," right? And then so you look over and like there's nothing, right? So it's like if I was going to see a bear, that would have been the time where I should have seen a bear. And like I was like, okay, they're just pulling my leg or something, right? They just made all this up. So, anyways, right. So that's kind of like that story. So now back to the other story. Um, so so by the time I was about to leave, so this is probably but just a couple months before I was supposed to leave and go to the next place I was living. I truly believe that there was no such thing as a Kodiak grizzly bear. Like literally, I would have believed in Bigfoot before I believed in a Kodiak grizzly bear, and that belief gave me a very powerful sense of fearlessness that probably shouldn't have been there. So, anyways, one day we were eating, and then someone called in. They're like, "Oh, they found grizzly bears at the nearby river." I don't remember what the river was called, but it is the main Kodiak River basically. And so we all piled in the bus or the car or whatever, and we were going to go check it out just to see the paw prints and the mud and the bears. And we got there and there's nothing, right? Of course, because grizzly bears don't exist, right? Or at least the Kodiak ones don't. So I'm just like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to see a bear. I'm going to prove to you guys that there's no such thing as a Kodiak grizzly bear. So I just started like walking along the river by myself and going up the pathway, and everyone else is like, okay, this guy's about to die, right? So they're like, let's go with him, so he's not alone at least. So we all pile in, we're following the footprints, right? Following the bear that we get to the end of the footprints. They don't exist anymore. I'm like, see, there's no such thing as a bear, right? Like there's no way that these paw prints can be here and then they just disappear like they did, right? Like this is a hoax, right? So we're walking back, and I'm like, so you guys, there's no such thing as a bear, right? So we get back, and then so we're like about probably 5 or 6 feet from the vehicle, right? And then at full speed, a Kodiak grizzly bear comes out of the trail that we just left, right? Barreling at probably 30 or 40 miles an hour, and it was about 5 or 6 feet in front of us. So like it was about the distance of a person. You could probably have jumped ahead a few feet and touched it, is how close it was. And it was running at full speed past us, right, to the mouth of the river, to the river delta, over the road. You get it out, and then so you see the salmon jumping in the river delta, and then it just grabs the salmon from like, I don't know, like half a mile away, and you just hear the crunch, like the bones of the salmon. And so my mind is processing that. I'm like, I guess there are bears, right? So then that's where that's the level of proof that it took to actually shift that belief that a bear exists, right? And that thing was huge, right? Like it was running, its shoulders were at my shoulder level, right? Like it was big, right? So if it had stood up next to us, it would have been twice our size, but it was just running past us, right? So it could have easily probably taken us out if it wanted to, right? But it didn't, because we were in a group, and bears, as with other wildlife, even though they look scary, they're also animals, so they're skittish, right? So they don't like to approach people if they don't have to. But the point is that it literally took a real bear doing that for me to actually see that belief. If it had just like been in the distance, I probably still wouldn't have believed. I would have, oh, that's a dude in a suit, right? It's not a real bear. Now, a couple weeks later, like whenever I was maybe a week or two before leaving, then I was visiting, I think also Larson Bay, or one of the villages, and then so one of the guys there was like a bear guide, right? And he did that as part of like a local lodge, and so we were somewhere on the water or something, and he's like, "Hey, look, there's bears over there." So we looked in the binoculars, and I could see there was like 3 or 4 bears there, and then something spooked them, and then they ran up a hill, and they were like crashing trees as they were going, right? And we could go into the spiritual side of things, which is probably the reason why I saw the second bears, is because I had my belief shifted the first time, because our beliefs actually do affect our reality, like our actual reality, not just our perception of reality, but actually what happens to us in reality. But that's a whole nother topic. But the point is that beliefs are so powerful that it allowed me to feel impervious in an otherwise dangerous situation, because I truly believed that the thing that was dangerous didn't actually exist, right? And it took that experience for me to actually truly believe that like Kodiak grizzly bears were real, right? And then once I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, they're real, great, cool, right? Like it wasn't like a scary thing; it was just an acknowledgement of like, okay, yeah, water is wet, right? The ocean is water, right? The ocean is blue. All of these things, right? Which we take for granted, but that's the level of power that beliefs have in our mind, right? And that's kind of the level that I work on. And it's so much different than what most people call belief shifting, because what they do is they change your perception. They like reframe things, and I don't do that, right? I do something so deep that like nobody else has figured out that it even exists, much less that it can be changed. So that's my story for the day. Under the sea. Stay tuned for the rest of the channel. If you want to you know talk with me, check out my Facebook link below. Send me a message if you have any questions about the work that I do, or you want to have some help, fixing traumas, limiting beliefs, or anything like that. So I'll let you go for today. Thanks for listening in, and you have a good one. Bye.